never met no one who talk like that. And if you hang up on a nigga, bitch, I call right back. Roll my windows up, dollar rolling windows up, biscuit ass niggas want.
Dark academia is an aesthetic that prioritizes learning, beautiful books, and quality clothes. So obviously, let's talk about how to get that for this school year. First off is the slightly messy, undone professorial look, meaning that part of your wardrobe or your appearance should be a little bit messy. Smudged eyeliner, messy hair, shirt untucked, you get the point. Because a lot of my classy cool girls pay attention and follow me, thank God. You're probably going to be bored if you're just going for a neutral color palette, so I would really focus on some dark burgundies and reds as well. Beautiful chestnut browns as your leathers. You can also incorporate this into your lipsticks and your nail polishes. As a quick starter pack to get this aesthetic for fall, I would invest in a good plaid miniskirt, lots of good sweaters, and some loafers. And then maybe a few plaid blazers, some tights, very minimalistic jewelry, and then some quality belts. You can find good belts at the thrift store. You do not have to break the bank on them. Makeup is also a bit minimalistic as well, but I love the look with the black headband. At the end of the day, this look is very chic and put together, but it also prioritizes learning more than your appearance.
Wanted to dress a little bit more like this or like this, well, you're in the right place. Welcome to part 2 of my style series, where I'm breaking down different style aesthetics and giving you the foundation to build a capsule wardrobe around each look. In part 2 of this series, we're going to be going over the famous dark academia. Although this isn't my personal style, I love it just because you can really sense the mood and the inspiration behind it. The dark academia aesthetic really draws inspiration from literature, art, and writing. It's also infused with a little bit of gothic elements and a mix of vintage prep. Child, hold up, because the New York Times got something to say. According to the New York Times, dark academia is a subculture with heavy emphasis on reading, writing, and learning. A look best described as traditional, academic, with a gothic edge. Now on to the fun part. For this aesthetic, the first thing that you're going to need is a good pair of trousers, girl. Trousers are extremely timeless and they're great staples for your wardrobe. The second thing that you're going to need is a good old turtleneck. We all have that favorite turtleneck. The next thing that you're going to need is a good quality coat. When it comes to coats, I always recommend that you thrift them first before looking for a new one. Thrifting coats is honestly one of my favorite pastimes when I'm at the thrift store, just because there's so many different varieties at such a low cost. The next thing that you're going to need is a pair of loafers. Look at those. They look amazing. Also, side note, she is bodying this aesthetic, girl. The Chanel purse, the coffee, the dark mood. Slayed. And the last thing that you're going to need for this aesthetic, which is an accessory, of course, and that is a belt. Belts are honestly sometimes overlooked, but they're a great accessory to kind of bring in the whole outfit together. So to recap, the first thing you're going to need is some trousers, a turtleneck, a nice coat, a pair of loafers, and a belt to bring the whole look together. Also remember that the aesthetic is called dark academia for a reason. Here we're focusing on dark neutral tones, so make sure to keep it in that element. If you're enjoying this series, make sure to follow her more and let me know in the comments what you guys think of dark academia and which style you want to see next.
Okay, this is my guide to some of the most popular dark academia books and which one I think you should pick up based off of your taste in other books. I'm not claiming that this is like a definitive guide to every dark academia book, but these are some of the most popular ones on Book Talk and I've read all of them. Okay, starting with what I think most people think of when they think of the term dark academia, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I would recommend reading this if you are a lit fic girly or a classics reader. This book is quite dense. I enjoyed it. I think it's really good, but it's longer than it looks. It's like 600 pages and it's quite like densely packed font as well. And I do find at times the pacing is a little bit slow, but I think if you like that kind of book that you can really sink your teeth into, you'll enjoy this. Now, if you want something that is a very similar kind of plot structure to The Secret History, but is a little bit lighter and a little bit easier to digest, I would recommend If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. It's set similarly to Secret History at a private university, but this one is specifically at a drama school where the students are on a Shakespeare program. So if you like Shakespeare, there's a lot of that in this book, but I don't think it's like 100% necessary to be familiar with Shakespeare to enjoy this, but it probably would improve your reading experience. I love this book. I found it was quite fast paced and I read the entire thing in 24 hours. If you are a fantasy reader, I'd recommend starting with The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This is a completed trilogy and it is set in the sort of fictional library of Alexandria, and it follows 5 characters who are all very morally grey and kind of their relationships with one another and their relationship with magic and academia. This is really good. Personally, I think the first one is the best. I actually DNF'd the last book, but I know a lot of people love this series and I definitely think it's worth giving it a go to see if you get on with Olivia Blake's writing style. Okay, next up we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. Firstly, this is the Lost Library edition and it literally is the most stunning book I own, but this I think is for the historical fiction girlies. It does have a little touch of fantasy about it, but I wouldn't really describe this as a fantasy book. I also think to enjoy this you need to be interested in language and society and like themes like racism and colonization and sexism in academia, because generally that's kind of the focus of this book. I think if you don't enjoy that, I'm not sure the plot is enough to hold up without that, but again, it's definitely worth giving it a read and it will really make you think about things, which I like. If you're thinking, oh my god, that sounds like a lot, I'm not sure I want that right now, I would recommend Infinity Alchemist. So this is a YA Dark Academia book that came out in February of this year, and it's like a polyamorous love triangle between, if I can remember rightly, a trans male main character, I think a non-binary main character, and I can't remember the third. I can't remember, but this is great. This is a really fun, like easy read. So if you want some dark academia that's a bit lighter or easier to get through, I would recommend this one. I think this is quite underrated on BookTok. But yeah, hopefully there is something in here that sounds like it would appeal to you. I really like dark academia as a subgenre, so it's definitely worth giving it a go.
What is dark academia and how can it make you live more intentionally? Dark academia is an aesthetic and subculture that romanticizes classic education, literature, and the arts. Imagine Gothic architecture, vintage libraries, and a reverence for learning. Inspired by cult classics like The Secret History and If We Were Villains, it's a mindset that invites you to live with intention, and here's how. Firstly, romanticizing learning. Dark academia celebrates a lifelong love for learning. It shows us that education doesn't just stop with school. Immersing yourself in poetry, philosophy, or history allows you to think deeply and grow through independent study. Next, mindful rituals. Dark academia treasures small everyday acts, such as handwritten notes, sipping coffee by candlelight, or walking through autumn leaves, encouraging us to slow down and find beauty in the routine and simplicity of everyday life. And lastly, depth over distraction. In a world of constant scrolling, dark academia invites us to step away from the noise. It's about embracing slowness, reflection, and thinking deeply. For example, savoring a single book and understanding it in depth, rather than rushing through many briefly.
Dark academia outfit ideas. About that time, a little bit after that time for back to school, back to college, etc. This was highly requested, so let's go. Starting off with the 10 million skorts from American Eagle. I love skorts. I just feel safer and better, and they have them in many different colors and patterns. Love this pleated plaid skirt. By the way, everything you see in this video you can find by clicking the link in my bio, clicking shop my videos, everything will be there. Also this plaid pinafore with a lace top like this, or like this underneath it, just to make it a little bit darker, a little bit stranger. Any form of polo, particularly a knit polo. Honestly, I'm always going to be a big fan of adding dickies to sweaters. Having so many layers makes me feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience. I can't do it. Any sort of trouser, if you're like me and you have a big behind, the Curve Love ones from Abercrombie & Fitch are layering like super traditional over the top preppy pieces like a tweed jacket like this one from J. Crew over top of a regular hoodie. I promise, I need you to just look it up. You can find images of this on Pinterest. It looks really good. Turtlenecks. I love this turtleneck. I know it's a men's turtleneck. I like the way men's turtlenecks fit better. Love a long coat. Love a varsity sweater for this. Boat neck shirts do go hard with the dark academia overall look. It does. Now shoes. Tabbies, flexible, use them for a lot of different styles. We love the Sam Edelman Mary Jane. I love it. There's this one that's a little bit more cost effective. Same thing, I do love the Doc Marten, the Adrian Beck's tassel loafers. I love them so much. Another kind of loafer that's a little bit, not $150. Someone who needs pure through jewelry, common era. Mwah! I wear my scarab necklace every single day. Inspired by mythology and just historical women. For a cheaper option, there's always, of course, Regal Rose. I really love Regal Rose. I stand by it. The Refute collection, the Heart and Mind collection, and I feel like their new collection, like the Mutiny collection, has some good Dark Academia adjacent pieces.
I've been asked for my tips on how to dress Dark Academia, so here's 5 rules that I use. The first one is colour, basing things around firstly earth tones and neutrals as your base, so colours that earth are, anything between black and white like grey, and then using other dark colours as complementary or contrast colours, things like greens and blues. Secondly, it's the types of clothes you're choosing. I go for more traditional fits, things like high waists, using braces, bigger lapels like this jacket, which gives things that Dark Academia vibe. Thirdly, it's where I get the clothes from. I buy a lot of vintage, so charity shops, vintage Depop are great with some like key vintage elements. For me, that's glasses. I've got these 1960s pair of Algas. Fourthly, it's layering, so having loads of different layers. With this outfit today, I also had a big overcoat, which went over the top, and those kind of different layers in those different tones and colors and fabrics help create this depth. Finally, there's the overall narrative, and it's little features like having your top button undone or slightly messier hair that tell the kind of story with the outfit, which says, oh, you're stressed, you've been reading, you've been taking lectures, you've been going onto campus, you've been up late looking at books. For me, thankfully, a lot of it's true because I work in a university and I am doing a lot of these things, but I find that these points are what kind of pull together the final stages of that outfit.
I wrote my undergrad thesis on Dark Academia, and this is my updated unofficial Dark Academia guide. Dark Academia is a literary genre that derives from the campus novel, the gothic novels, and the academic novel, together creating the genre Dark Academia. In my opinion, there is 4 core Dark Academia texts. It all began with The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This was published in 1992 and was quickly acknowledged as being the Dark Academia book. The Secret History is now the mother of Dark Academia, and this book is the foundation for all the other Dark Academia books published after this one. And where does Donna Tartt draw her inspiration from? The Picture of Dorian Gray. The mother gets it from her father, which is why The Picture of Dorian Gray is the granddaddy of Dark Academia. Everything that we love about this book, the tropes, the themes, the purple prose, can also be found in The Picture of Dorian Gray. And this happy family needs a child, and we got a virulence. I like to call this the child because it essentially is a copy-paste version of The Secret History, but in a more digestible and more fast-paced way, and it brings Shakespeare into the whole situationship. The happy family naturally has an uncle, which is Babel. This is the quintessential Dark Academia fantasy book, and this one is the best. But together, these are the core texts of Dark Academia. If you wanted to, you could add in these hallowed halls, because this is an anthology of short stories all about Dark Academia. So this one brings a little bit of everything to the function. Naturally, we have a whole stack of books that all fit within the Dark Academia genre because they have that gothic campus element. That is titles such as Madam, The Cloisters, The Things We Do to Our Friends, Real Life, The Four, and one of my all-time favorites, These Violent Delights. Bear in mind that it's this version and not this version. This version. And another favorite, My Dark Vanessa. And there is Dark Academia speculative fiction that includes magical realism and also science fiction. That would be titles such as Bunny, Never Let Me Go, Vicious, and Catherine House. And then we have the Dark Academia fantasy. That is titles such as A Study in Drowning, Ninth House and Hellbent, the Skullman series, the Atlas 6 series, Academy of Villains, College of Shadows, Every Exquisite Thing, An Education in Malice, Whispering Dark, The Ravens, The Grimrose Girls, and The Raven Boys. Then there is young adult Dark Academia, which are titles such as The Ivies, Ace of Spades, and A Lesson in Vengeance. Then we have some Dark Academia adjacents. They're adjacents because they fit into the genre, either because Dark Academia books have found inspiration in these books, or because they have themes that eventually became the markers of Dark Academia. And that's titles such as Frankenstein, The Great Gatsby, Changing Places, and lastly, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. These were just some of the Dark Academia books that I've read, so if you know of a Dark Academia book that you think I would enjoy, please let me know, because I always want to read Dark Academia books. So yeah, that's the end of my little updated Dark Academia guide. Hope you found it useful. Remember to save it so you know what Dark Academia book to pick up next.
Welcome to this week's rendition of 10 Ways to Achieve the Blank Aesthetic, where I teach you 10 very achievable ways without doing anything crazy, no paint, no wallpaper, no big furniture, to achieve a desired aesthetic. And this week's aesthetic is Dark Academia, which I'm so excited about, with fall right around the corner. Yes, it's right around the corner, and all the cozy vibes coming up. I'm super excited to show you how you can achieve this aesthetic very easily. Number one, and perhaps most obvious, is tapered candles and brass candlestick holders. Now, I would say like 70% of the Dark Academia vibe is all about mood lighting. So candles are the perfect way to incorporate this. And in addition to tapered candles, I really suggest playing with color. Color palette in Dark Academia is also extremely important. So don't just stick to white tapered candles. You can do black, you could do maroon, you could do navy, purple, have fun with it, and pair them with brass candlestick holders. Also, I preach this tone blue in the face on just about every aesthetic, but not only light your candles, but let them get drippy. It tells a story and it's just a vibe. Number two is to collect vintage leather-bound books. And now, odds are, sadly, that none of us have an insanely beautiful library like this in our home. That's okay. You can achieve a very similar vibe by just collecting these books and displaying them on either maybe a wall shelf or something like this, a barrister's bookcase. These are for sale for so cheap on my local Facebook marketplace all the time. Or just stack them on the floor, because what screams more academic than books stacked on the floor? Not a whole lot. Number three is displaying a vintage or an antique instrument. I love the idea of hanging an old violin on your wall or putting an old gramophone on a bar or a tabletop. I think it just lends itself to that artistic vibe that is this aesthetic. Four is oil paintings. You cannot go wrong with a good oil painting, especially if it's a portrait. And while we're talking about the walls, also a good gilded gold mirror just fits this vibe effortlessly. I also love the idea of just kind of layering mirrors and also putting them on the floor. Make sure you secure them if you have small kids, but I love this vibe. Number six, and like I said in the beginning, this aesthetic is really driven by the lighting. So a good lamp is a must. I love a banker style lamp, a vintage lamp like this, a bouillotte lamp like this, or a Tiffany lamp. I mean, this is just perfection. And number seven, because I am not one to shy away from a good prop in order to achieve a desired aesthetic, ink and a quill. And who's to say that you're not using it to write your letters by candlelight? I mean, could be. Another good decor moment is a chessboard, because this just screams Dark Academia. Also a typewriter, and this aesthetic loves a good bust. And lastly, this aesthetic just screams for you to show off your collections, show off your curiosities, things that you've collected over your years, because at the end of the day, it's all about making the space feel like you. So this is it for Dark Academia. Let me know down below, what aesthetic would you like me to cover next?
This is how to style Dark Academia. But what is Dark Academia? Well, by Wikipedia's definition, Dark Academia is an internet aesthetic and subculture concerned with higher education, the arts, and literature. So basically, you're a wizard, Harry. So anyways, the style and colors for the aesthetic is based around darker, neutral earth tones. And our goal is to create a sophisticated academic look, but with a little bit of edginess sprinkled in there. Let's get started. Like I said earlier, Dark Academia revolves around darker and neutral earth tones. You'll never see bright or neon colors associated with this aesthetic. Today, I'm gonna base my outfit off of the colors black, brown, and gray. Starting out with some grayish brown straight cut trousers. Since these pants are straight cut, I'm gonna build the rest of my outfit around this fit, having everything else not be super slim, but also not super oversized either. Next, I'm throwing on this black half sleeve button up shirt. I'm telling you this now, the old rule of never mixing black and browns is extremely outdated. If you can do it tastefully, then there's no harm in pairing the two colors together in an outfit. And for those of you who have been around for a while, you know I love to half tuck my button up shirts. And I'm also adding this woven belt for some extra detail. For my shoes, I'm putting on these black leather boots. They're a great staple in any wardrobe. Onto jewelry, I'm adding this silver neck chain, the silver belt chain, and these silver rings. Finally, for my outerwear layer, I'm putting on this brown casual blazer to finish off the look. And that is one of my favorite ways to style Dark Academia. Remember that the cores of this aesthetic are pieces that are not too oversized and relaxed, and neutral earth tone colors. Let me know in the comments if there are any other aesthetics that you want me to style, but until then, thank you all for watching, and as always,
Expelliarmus!
stay fly.
Dark Academia? No. Darkest academia. Let's talk about the aesthetic shadow to that Tumblr favorite. Incorporating elements of the occult, some other interesting imagery, richer albeit cooler tone, like a lot of folie à deux kind of stuff. Still an air of pretense, but not I'm smarter than you pretentious, but I've seen beyond the veil and even in strange kind of pretentious. So let's see some inspiration for all of you who would major in occult studies if it was an option. Major in minor theology. That's what I was doing. Now, if we say darkest academia, we need to talk about Prudence, an icon. You can find dresses similar to hers and the other weird sisters. At Killstar, there's this one. This is the every morning collar dress, trick or treat dress, and the Bethany Brutal dress from them, which I really like. Big woolen coats look really good with this style. This one from Marcella. This very ornate gothy one from Vampire Freaks. Or if you can get your hands on a vintage Bromley jacket, absolutely. They're not expensive. I have one like this, but with a velvet collar. So good. So warm. This rich burgundy one on Amazon is also really nice. There's a lot of tartan incorporated into these looks. Really love these pieces from Hill House. Just really gorgeous. This one from Ralph Lauren. I also really like jewel-toned blazers with these kind of looks. I also love the incorporation of like lacier kind of sultry pieces that kind of look like lingerie. In terms of shoes, I'm really obsessed with this Natasha Buckold, the Mary Janes from Circus New York, or the chunky Steve Madden loafers like that as well. I think these ballet flats from ASOS would do really well. Plum starling birdies with just this kind of celestial design, I think that would fit really well. Now, you know you need a sweater vest, but it's not going to be brown or beige or make it darker. Make it darker. Are you missing a theme here? I think this situation is very cool. I like it a lot. Dickie collars with black sweaters, just adding a layer of intrigue and romance to very dark clothing. Accessories make the difference here. This dark red cross on the lapel of like a big wool jacket. I also really like the Nova Cross earrings from Vanessa Mooney. Body in a little vampire. It's giving the historian. Cobb Gadgets also has a really cool collection. Greco-Roman inspiration, like a nod to regular old dark academia. Obsessed with this Nyx pendant from Pyrrha. Goddess of the Night. An allusion to something occult. Bonus points for vaguely satanic. I think statement hairdos and statement hairpiece look really good with this. Perfume recommendations for this style: The Decay of the Angel, Notes of Blood and Lacquer, and Babylon from Penhaligon's. Spicy, warm, saffron. Something about this all makes me think of ritual incense. Oh no! Miskatonic University hoodie. I have an inspiration page up on my Amazon storefront if you want to have a look at that. But as always, you'll find cooler stuff in thrift store. And on eBay. You know, the eBay, yeah. If you want that Bromley jacket, eBay.
Jules has gotten a little slutty.
It is time.
Dan has a very strange patchwork of knowledge. It's anybody's guess as to what he knows about any given topic.
Watch. Hey, Dan, who sculpted Mount Rushmore?
Gutzon Borglum. Then his son finished it. Why?
And what state is it in?
I don't know. Ecuador or some...
The third boy was the most exotic of the set. Angular and elegant, he was precariously thin, with nervous hands and a shrewd albino face, and a short, fiery mop of the reddest hair I had ever seen. I thought, erroneously, that he dressed like Alfred Douglas or the Comte de Montesquieu. Beautiful starch.
No one who talk like that. And if you hang up on a nigga, bitch, I call right back. Roll my windows up, dollar rolling windows